The no code movement was like, to me, the beginning of this. And now this vibe code is like the continuation of this no code movement. The next 5 years, if you're a creative person, if you're like a tinkerer, if you're like a high agency creative, there's never been a moment like this right now. One of the problems with the whole vibe code movement right now, it's that like it's overhyped. Everyone's like, you can build anything. And the truth is like, you can't build anything. I was up till like 5 in the morning the other day integrating live chat that like lives in an extension, but talks to the web app and like, yeah, super cool stuff. It's a superpower. For the last few years, for the last decade, for basically ever, I've just been beating my head against this wall that's like code, 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 you know? And
Mhm.
now I have the ability to like just build this stuff.
This is how I vibe design.
How to get into vibe coding?
How do I get into vibe coding? Um, so that process, so like I started playing with WordPress way back when, and then WordPress always left me wanting like better design capabilities. And so that was like in 2012. In 2017, I found Webflow, and Webflow was like, oh, this is crazy. I can build anything, or so I thought, because I could build the front end, right? And I could make anything like look like something real on the internet. And I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to be able to build software soon. Um, but Webflow like is a great tool, but it's like still mostly just for building websites. You can like hack it together with Make or Zapier or some other stuff. And so I always wanted to like build products. Like websites are cool, but like I want people to touch it and play with it and like do things and like I want it to work. And so when AI started coming out, like the no code movement was like to me the beginning of this. And now this vibe code is like the continuation of this no code movement. Like vibe code is like the next step of that. And so it's just been this transition of like hacking my way into tech, wanting to build stuff, having ideas, like trying to like build things through other people or like hire folks or pay for software development or like we raised some money at one point like way back when to try to do something and like this is very difficult. And so like now that I see these tools, like I'm just going to try this and like I started building stuff and it works and like people started using it and I was like, holy cow, this is crazy. And so I just kept tinkering and I still, yeah, to this day, like I think I spent $1,200 last month on Replit.
Talking more about Replit, why Replit, and what I would love to see some things that you've achieved with it.
Yeah, so why Replit? Because they kind of have like the best solution for like a fully integrated thing for vibe coders. Like for someone like me, I'm just technical enough to be dangerous, but like I don't really know what I'm doing. And so they make it easy for me to deploy the application without like with one click. The database is integrated with the agent, and so like it's a Postgres database hosted by Neon. So like that's if I need my data somewhere separate, I can have access to that. Or if I want to give somebody else access to the Postgres database, it's just that. But also
Mhm.
Replit gives me like a visual UI where while I'm talking to the agent, I can go into the back end and like change data in the database. You know, like none of these other vibe code tools have stuff like this. You know, like it's
Mhm.
just not the full package. Even like the shell, like all these different things, the agent, the assistant, like I don't know. It's just it's this is way more advanced than the other tools. And the agent's getting better. Like I just keep feeding it stuff. Like you should see some of the complexity. You said like you want to see something. I'm happy to show you,
Yeah.
but I don't want this to turn into a demo, but like I'm
Mhm.
very excited
Yeah.
about like the thing I'm building right now.
Yes. That
I
would be
was
nice.
yeah, I was up till like 5 in the morning the other day integrating live chat. I like built WebSockets and I built a live chat that like lives in an extension but talks to the web app and like yeah, super cool stuff that like I'm building like a
Nice.
little private social layer that just lives over top of the internet. So just it's a superpower. It's one of those moments
Yeah.
in like my mind for the last few years, for the last decade, for basically ever, I've just been beating my head against this wall that's like code, 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 you know? And
Mhm.
now I have the ability to like just build this stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's a total superpower.
Yeah. I definitely agree.
Okay.
Okay.
So I've been playing with this thing here. Let me log out. And it's kind of blending some like a link tree,
Mhm.
social media, Discord, and like HubSpot all in one.
Okay.
It's like imagine if you took the premise of like how valuable social media is for distribution of content and like for building
Mhm.
social like attention
Mhm.
networks, if you will. Um,
Mhm.
but the purpose wasn't to like pay some advertising algorithm. It was like to promote your small group or your network or your community or whatever it is, right? So the idea like I have one for our small community here, and again, if you like, let's close this menu. And on mobile, you know, you just have like a little link tree style. Come on. just a little Linktree style page here, We have the ability, like, let me go back to that Sarasota Tech network. Now we have the ability to like have a chat with whoever's in the network. So there's like a Discord
Nice.
chat channel, like a live chat channel that opens up here. This is a live chat. And if I was in another browser, you would see like somebody typing. Okay, so now if I come over here to my test browser and I pull this over, Google play along here, would you? All right, so this is me in another browser. So test. So you can see over on the right, it's giving me the test is typing. If I type over here, this is Raymmar. So this is just like replicating another user. So live chat in the browser here. This is the newest thing that I'm super excited, and this all works. It's like amazingly stable. People have logged in. I have a handful of users helping me test this. So there's 20-ish or so users here that are just kind of tinkering. Some of these are fake profiles that I've created, but yeah, it's just a wild time to be able to think like this is
Yeah.
something I've built by talking to a machine. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. So considering that it's so easy to build everything, do you ever get lost in the space of, oh, this is possible to build, so I'm going to build it? Or do you ever have to take a step back and actually test things out
I
before
don't
building
think
things?
it's that easy.
Okay.
Like there's nothing about like somebody seeing this might be like, oh, you could build whatever. Like this, like the amount of time I've spent with this thing over over time. Like if you go into the Replit panel and you go into the agent history, like the amount of time I've spent wrestling with this thing, this goes back of 6 months of chats of just fighting with this thing day after day, hour after hour. Like to say it's easy is like an understatement.
Yeah.
It's possible, right? Like so building these things is possible. It's not easy, right? Like and it's easy to like stand up if you want to build like a little trinket site or some whatever, like you can build
Yeah.
things,
Yes.
But to get some like I've run into moments of troubleshooting on this where it's like had I not had some of my previous experience, like I just don't know how I would have figured it out, right? Because I am diving into the code quite a bit. I like if you go into the panel here, like I often have the actual like files open and I'm in here manually like looking to see, okay, what's happening, so it's I'm on the verge of not really being a vibe coder, where it's like I'm not full vibes. It's like this is one of the problems with the whole vibe code movement right now. It's that like it's overhyped. Everyone's like, you can build anything. And the truth is like you can't build anything. Even with this thing, like I had to unravel a big chunk of problems where I had created like 2 APIs to do the exact same thing. And
Okay.
I didn't realize it had done that because I had feeds in 2 different places. And instead of using the same feed we already had, it like totally recreated it. And so when I was making updates in one place and I'm like, hey, why isn't this updating over here? It's like, oh, they're 2 different elements. And I didn't realize it until then. But I had already gone, like I was already deep into the project. And I'm like, oh shit, this is a big deal. And so
Yeah.
like trying to then talk the agent into like understanding, okay, we need to unify this and this feed has features that this one don't, but this one now has features that this one didn't. So I was like building at 2 different times, kind of like different feature sets. And so those are things that you don't like realize or
Yeah.
understand. And like, there's a lot of unknowns that I don't know, right? There's like lots of things that could potentially be wrong with this that I just don't know yet, and once we get 50 users, 100 users, like then you'll start seeing like, oh, hey, this is a big problem that you didn't know. So it's amazing in the sense that like I can get production level like prototypes out and like start using things. And I do have like I have a browser extension that I built in Replit also that gets thousands of like a week. Like if we go to downloadspaces.com, I have this little dashboard, so like 107 downloads, 81 downloads, like people are downloading Twitter Spaces with this, and I won't click on any of these X links because sometimes they're a little X-rated. But yeah, so like over the last 30 days, it's up. It's down 32, but I don't remember when this starts recounting. But yeah, so it's down this week a little bit from last week, but consistent. Like, and people are using this all the time. And this just another little thing I vibe coded. The extension is, has over 5,000 users. Like it gets great reviews. So like again, this is a vibe coded thing that I built. It's real. It's out there being used by people every day. I never would have been able to build anything, like
Makes
this.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you've dabbled with multiple projects, is there a checklist that you have for yourself that whenever I'm building my next thing, this is something I definitely have to follow? For
Mm.
instance, based on whatever of course, I don't have as much experience as you, but based on however I've done so far, I've realized that have to start building small and then keep adding on it rather than just building large. So that's something I learned while doing it. So is there something for you that one
A
thing trip?
100%, you have to like start small.
Mhm.
I was trying to talk to somebody about this the other day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, so you could just tell it to build." I'm like Airbnb or something. Like, no,
Mm.
like this other thing that I built, like it starts as like a little seed, and then another thing, and another thing, and another thing, and then you can like scale it out. But then you have to like know a little bit about what's that first thing to build that's going to let you build all the rest of the things you want to build. You know, um, I think the patience, like it has tested my patience so much. Like I hope nobody ever exposes my chat logs with my agent. I'm like, you dumb son of a bitch. Why are you like, why are you doing this? um, so I hope that never makes it out to the public. But yeah, it's there's so many little things, right? It's like the more technical you can get, the better you're going to be at
Mhm.
vibe coding. So
Mhm.
I always start outside of like the coding environment, and I'll go
Mhm.
to like a chat GPT or whatever your like LLM of choice is, and I'll just talk through what I want to build. You know, I'll either turn on a voice memo, or I'll just like start typing out the idea, and I'll start thinking through like what is it that I want to do? What are the best technologies? Because sometimes if you can guide it a little bit, somebody was asking me the other day like how I get certain things, and I was like, well, if you guide it a little bit, you can know. And so like ask it to, hey, what's the best approach here? Or like I have you can make assumptions, but ask it to validate something. Like don't just let it go build. Like
Mm.
spend some time thinking about what are the requirements of this thing? What do I actually want it to do? Scope out the whole application and then pair it back to that small thing you're going to start with. And don't be afraid to like throw things out. Like one of the things I say is like, don't try to like argue with the AI and get it to fix its own mistake. Just go back in time. Like just
Mm.
even if it's an hour, even if it's 2 hours, whatever. If you find yourself like up against a wall where you're just in like a loop, because every time you're in that loop, the agent just starts trying to do more stuff, right? So if you're
Mm.
like, oh, fix it, it doesn't work, and it does some stuff, and it comes back and it's still broken, and you're like, fix it some more, and it goes back and does more stuff, and then you're like, fix
Yes.
it some more. It's doing stuff, and you don't
Yeah.
know what it's doing, and then eventually it's going to work maybe, but you don't know how much other stuff it broke, and then you won't realize that until you're like into the next thing, and then you realize that that process that you were like trying to fix broke something else completely. You're better
Mm.
off even if you figured it out. Like maybe if you have a eureka moment, it's like, oh hey, I finally figured it out, this was what was wrong. I will often go back in time with that little nugget, undo everything we just did spinning my wheels, and say, hey, there's this problem, can you identify this? And I'll even plan it out. I'll say, hey, don't write any code, just let's talk about this. We
Mm.
identified this problem. What do you think is the best fix? And it's like, oh yeah, this is the problem. It'll fix it in one shot. It took me an hour and a half to figure out what that thing was, but just go back to your commit,
Yeah.
start over, and now you have the win. And you don't risk any of that other crap that probably didn't need to happen in your product.
I was actually stuck in the same loop this one time when I was just trying to make it, fix it, and I spent hours doing it. I actually saw your tweet where you said rather than make it fix, just undo it and
Yeah.
prompt it again, and I did that. And I shared it with like all of my friends. I'm like, this is how you're supposed to do it. So
Yeah.
it's just like a throwback again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the other thing is sometimes starting a new chat, right? So like a lot of
Mhm.
times, especially in Replit, I'll like to leave the chat going because it has context. So it's like if I'm working on a group of features or a specific item, then I like to kind of, once I get something unlocked, I'll keep adding more in that chat window. But sometimes if it gets stuck, it's like, oh, okay, I have to like, there's no value. Like I got to move on here because the context window is like too full and so sometimes just starting a new chat will often solve a problem. I'll often take the code, like let's say I'm looking at a problem and the agent can't figure it out, or I want a separate set of eyes. I'll like take the files, or like I'll open the project in Cursor or some other, because it's just pushed to GitHub. So I'll make sure I'm
Yeah.
synced with GitHub. I'll open the file and make sure I'm synced on the other app, and like I can write code there and push it up and then bring it back into Replit. And so it's so versatile right now. And now I've seen other people are doing like SSH. They're like bringing Codex and GPT-5 like into the environment because do lots of different things, right? And so it's one of those moments where like sure there's this hype cycle happening, and I think you're going to see people pushing back from the hype cycle, and we're going to like go through this. I don't know what the names of these parts of the curves are, but it's like everyone was crazy those last few months for you know uh vibe code and all these different tools, $100 million here, $100 million there. Everyone went nuts. And now people are realizing like, oh, maybe I can't do all those things that you said I could do with this tool. So they're kind of like drawing back. But folks like me who are like building real stuff are like, oh no, this is real. You know, it may not be real for like everybody who just wanted to build something, but for folks like me and for folks who have like a little bit of technical know-how and perseverance, mostly because I think a lot of people just expect this to be easy and like quick and just like a genie, like give me the app. Yeah, like it's our moment. This is the moment to just be able to build. And like if you have some agency right now and you're creative and a little bit of like technical know-how, like not even a lot of technical know-how, just like the ability to research and find stuff and like problem solve, that's it. You know, you're just problem solving.
So, makes
Yeah.
sense. Do you ever feel that you have to humanize something or make something more marketable, and that's something that's not coming directly from whatever you're initially prompting,
Mhm.
and have to go in and fix it?
All the time, like the UI that we were looking at when I was showing you that app is not the
Hmm.
UI that this thing wanted to give me. Like that's I was actually having a conversation about this with somebody very recently that like probably 30 to 40% of the time I spent prompting is on design.
Okay.
It's on design, it's on experience. I'm taking like screenshots are a big part of how I do this. Actually, that might be where'd that go? Yeah, go back to the screenshots. That app that I was talking about, I use tldr a lot, and I take screenshots to like just put wireframes together. So like as I'm trying to get things to work, I took a screenshot of, hey, this is what it looks like closed. Here's what it looks like opened. I want it to be that like there's too much height here. This needs to be aligned. And so like this is a prompt. I'll literally screenshot this and give this to the agent as a prompt.
Okay.
And this has been super helpful, right? Like if you think about these profile pages that we were looking at here, if I go into a network page and we look at this page versus like this TL draw page, like the wireframe is basically this layout. And so as I was
Yeah.
trying to get the agent to build a specific thing, I was like, how do I do that? How do I feed it that? And it's hard to tell it through like a typing the prompt, but if you can
Mhm.
take a screenshot of something and give it a skeleton, it's like, hey, this is what I want it to look and feel like. Okay, great. And then you can see the iterations of the different parts of it. Look, don't change this, don't change this. This is where these cards, like these things go.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, this has been very helpful to do things like this and also thinking through stuff. Like don't just let the agent do all this stuff. Like you got to think, how do you want this to look? Maybe go find a site, a website that's a reference site that is something like what you're thinking about and
Mhm.
take some inspiration from that. Like you don't have to reinvent UI, and most of this stuff
Yeah.
is like solve problems with like these design libraries. So it's like you just need the right components, pull it together, and like I don't know.
Mm.
You still have to be resourceful, and that's it. Like
Mhm.
some people just want it to work out of the box and not have to think about it, and it's like
Mhm.
we're not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Other than I don't think you will ever like the next 5 years, if you're a creative person, if you're like a tinkerer, if you're like a high agency creative, there's never been a moment like this right now. Don't let anybody tell you that like you're going to lose your job or that like the doom, like the doomsday prophecies are all coming true. Like if you think that, then it will come true for you. But if you think otherwise, if you think like this is the most amazing moment I've ever had and I can go build the most creative things I've like ever thought of without having to hire a big agency or have a big Hollywood production budget or whatever, like couple $100 you could get, and all of us have a phone. If you have a laptop, like if you have access to some of these tools, like you can do amazing things. And so like
Mm.
as a creator, like if I was coming out of college right now, I wouldn't be worried about like who's going to give me a job. I'd be thinking about like what kind of skills can I learn to go like provide value to the world and then just start charging for those because there's unlimited potential right now and unlimited money,
Mm.
right? Like there's so much money out there that people are experimenting that like, hey, if you can solve a problem for me that saves me time, I'll pay you for that. And that's it. So like
Right.
there's just never been a better time. Like anybody who says otherwise is just not really like they're just looking for excuses to be mediocre. That's
Mm.
yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.